Welcome in, Tiger fans, to another live edition, a live Tuesday afternoon edition of the Babin on the Bayou show. It is Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. Thank you, folks, so much for tuning in to another edition of the Babin on the Bayou show. I'm your host, as always, Justin Babin Jr. Got a lot to cover, a lot to get to on the show today. Unfortunately, we'll have to start the show discussing some injury news in relation to LSU baseball, and then we'll kind of get to a little bit of LSU football, spring football talk towards the end of the show. Of course, LSU baseball is back in action tonight. Their midweek game tonight in the box against UNO, the University of New Orleans. The Privateers come to Baton Rouge, take on the Tigers tonight at 6:30 in the box. Before we get to everything on the show today, I want to remind you, as always, about our wonderful friends over at Shield Heating and Cooling, best AC company in the business today. Remember that number, 225-46-BAYOU, 225-46-BAYOU, BAYOU. Call the team over at Shield Heating and Cooling at that number today. Tell them you heard about them from the Babin on the Bayou show, and you will be receiving free AC system cleaning checks for every AC system in your home, courtesy of the wonderful team and our wonderful friends over at Shield Heating and Cooling, the best AC company in the business today. Also, you know as well as I do, I love my Tigers. I know all of you love your Tigers, but you know what I also love? I also love food, especially sweets. And there is not a better place that I personally have found to fulfill all of the delicious sweet treat desires that you might have than the bakery over at Sugar Me Sweets, Cakes, and Confections. Sugar Me Sweets, Cakes, and Confections has it all, from fresh baked chocolate chip cookies to cupcakes to cake squares to custom decorated cakes. The team over at Sugar Me Sweets, Cakes, and Confections has it all. Now, you can reach them by calling them today. Their number is 225-250-1950, 225-250-1950, or you can visit them in person. Their bakery is located in the city of Central Louisiana, 8565 Rome, Rome Drive, 8565 Rome Drive. They have a storefront that always stays fully stocked for all of your last-minute dessert needs. Again, they're the best bakery around. Sugar Me Sweets, Cakes, and Confections. Give them a call today at 225-250-1950, or visit them in person, 8565 Rome, Rome Drive. That's Sugar Me Sweets, Cakes, and Confections. All right. Let me see. I think we got a comment in here. Let's see. What's up, Robbie? What's up, Robbie? How are you doing, my friend? Good to see you in the chat. Thank you for tuning into the show. Thank all of you for tuning into the show. All right, let's get into it. I did not plan to start the show like this. I did not want to start the show like this. This is really a bummer, really unfortunate news, but we got to talk about two injury notes for LSU baseball, because the seasons for Jake Brown and Cooper Moore are both over. Jake Brown is now out for the rest of the season with a broken hamate bone in his hand, so he's going to require hand surgery with that broken hamate bone. So Jake Brown's season is over, and then Cooper Moore's season is also over. Remember, Cooper Moore suffered that, kind of a tricep injury kind of in his elbow. He had it ended up being a stress fracture in his elbow, and that's going to result in him being out for the rest of the season. You thought he might be back this past weekend against Texas A&M. Of course, he wasn't able to pitch this past weekend against Texas A&M, and now he has been ruled out for the season. And that is really unfortunate news. Obviously, prayers go out to both of those young gentlemen, Cooper Moore and Jake Brown. We'll kind of discuss from each perspective, but we'll start with Jake Brown. Man, I really do hate this for Jake. I really do hate this for Jake, because it seems like he's taken his last at bat as a Tiger. And I love Jake Brown. I mean, Jake Brown was a wonderful player, a wonderful teammate. Just one of my favorite players to ever come through LSU. And I can't wait to see what he does in the future in the big leagues. But it really does suck that this is how his LSU baseball career is going to seem to end. I mean, you kind of walk through Jake Brown's career. I mean, he comes in here in 2024, plays a little bit his freshman year, has a pretty good season his freshman year, and then, the only reason I bring this up, I know this is negative, but the only reason I bring this up is to show the kind of person that Jake Brown is and being able to bounce back from the adversity that he's faced in his career. Like, think about 2024 and think about North Carolina. Like, think about Chapel Hill. Think about that instance where he drops the ball in right field in a regional final, and that's a big play. LSU ends up going on to lose that game, and there were a lot of LSU fans after that game who were frankly saying a lot of really stupid stuff about a freshman that was just stupid and that they shouldn't be saying for a guy in his freshman year who had so much ahead of him. But like, that's adversity. Like, Jake Brown had to face that adversity head on. And then he comes out in a sophomore year in 2025 and has a great year in 2025. I mean, he is one of many reasons that you won a national championship last year. I mean, in 2025, I kind of go through his numbers last year in his sophomore season. He hit 320 was his batting average, really good batting average. He hit 320, kind of, alternated in right field throughout the season. Started 40 games or over 40 games in right field, I believe, but kind of alternated with not with John Pearson, with Josh Pearson in right field based on the pitching matchup. But Jake Brown played a lot for you, of course, in 2025 and was a big reason that you won a national championship. I mean, he batted 320 overall in his sophomore season in Omaha alone. So in the College World Series alone, Jake Brown batted a team high 385. He went 5 for 13 in the CWS. That was the team high batting average, 385. He had 4 RBIs in Omaha alone, including that really big 2 RBI single against Arkansas. That was a really big hit in that game. So again, just a great postseason run, a great sophomore season overall for Jake Brown, and one of many reasons that you walked away with your 8th national championship in program history. And then this year in 2026, he's been the best player on this team. He's been the best player on this team. I mean, he first 5-6 weeks of the season, he was playing like a Golden Spikes finalist. He was playing like a Golden Spikes award winner in the first 5-6 weeks of the season, and he's been the best player on this team in terms of production. With what he's been able to do. I mean, he leads the team in homers with 16 home runs. He leads the team in RBIs with 49 RBIs. I mean, he would have gotten to 20 homers. He was top 5 in the SEC in home runs. He was just in the middle of a phenomenal season in 2026. And I hate this for Jake because not only has he had a phenomenal career at LSU and done a lot for LSU, but he's also been an incredible teammate as well. Like, you can tell he's a team leader. You can tell his teammates love him. He's just a super, super likable guy. And it stings, man. Like, it really sucks. It really sucks. And my prayers go out to Jake Brown and his family. I know he has a lot in his future, like a lot in store. Like, I have a lot of high expectations for Jake Brown and what he can do potentially at the next level. But like, I know this isn't how he wanted his career at LSU to end. And this really sucks. But I want to say thank you, Jake Brown, for everything you did for LSU for sure. And you were obviously an incredible player. And not only that, you were an incredible teammate, an incredible person as well. And it really sucks that this seems like it's going to be how it ends. And this whole season has been a whirlwind for LSU. And it seems like when it rains, it pours. And right now it's pouring for LSU baseball. I mean, you've lost 7 of your last 8. You've lost your last 6 SEC conference games. And now you got Jake Brown hurt. And he's been the best player on this team this year. And I hate this is how it seems his LSU career is going to end. But again, thank you, Jake. Like, thank you for being an incredible teammate, incredible player, an incredible person. And yeah, I mean, I love Jake Brown. I really do. Um, he's gonna go to the Braves in the second round. Maybe Robbie. Maybe Robbie. What's up, Alex? What's up, everybody? Yeah, man. I just prayers out to Jake Brown for sure. Like, prayers out to Jake Brown. final numbers in his college, or his numbers in his college career. He batted. These are throughout, and Zach Nunez compiled these stats and made them in a post. My buddy Zach Nunez from Go Deep Dive earlier today. So I got these numbers from him, from Zach Nunez. But Brown in his college career hit 304, 20 doubles, 2 triples, 28 homers, 110 RBIs, 951 OPS, 553 slugging percentage. So again, just an incredible career for Jake Brown. Just a great career for Jake Brown, and it sucks that his season's over and it looks like his LSU career has to be cut short, unfortunately. But I can't wait for what he's going to do in the future. As far as what this means for LSU, I think there are a few options you have in right field. I think obviously the freshman William Patrick is a guy you could throw out there. I mean, I think William Patrick is a guy that Jay's been wanting to give more playing time. That's why a couple of weeks ago they were even talking about putting William Patrick at second base potentially. So I think William Patrick is a guy that Jay and the staff potentially want to give more time to. And this is a very unfortunate circumstance. And this is like I said, it absolutely sucks. But this could be a time to give William Patrick some time out in right field. You also have the potential of putting Daniel Harden out there as well, potentially. Daniel Harden has been an outfielder that's gone out there as a replacement for a couple of games. And so that's a potential thing that you could do. You could also do a situation where you could put Mason Braun in right field. Potentially, you can put Mason Braun in right field if you wanted to. Now, Mason Braun has been playing first base for a couple weeks now, and he's done a great job. And I'm really high on Mason Braun and his future at LSU. But we've kind of talked about the issue of 4 guys for 3 spots with catcher, first base, and DH. And you have 4 guys between Mason Braun, Eddie Yaman, Omar Cerna, and Cade Beatty. If you wanted all 4 of those guys in the lineup at once, you could do that now. You can do that now. You could hypothetically, you could stick Mason Braun in right field. You could have Eddie Yaman play first. You could have Cerna catch, and you could have Beatty DH if that's what you wanted to do. That's not what I would do. You're 6-12 in the SEC. You've lost 6 straight SEC games. You lost 7 of your last 8 games overall. I'm not saying the season is over. I will never say the season is over. I won't say that. I'm going to keep rooting on the Tigers until the final out of their final game. You all know that. But I absolutely think this is a good opportunity to give some of your young guys like a William Patrick a potential opportunity at playing time. I absolutely think it is a good opportunity to put William Patrick out there or some of these younger guys out there in this situation. That is what I would do with all of this with Jake Brown. And again, prayers absolutely go out to Jake Brown. And then prayers also go out to Cooper Moore, man. I mean, Cooper Moore, before he got injured in the Kentucky series, he was arguably your best starting pitcher. He was arguably your best starting pitcher in terms of stats. Now, some of these numbers I got from Hunt Palmer compiled some of these stats together. But Moore, like before he got hurt, Moore's stat line, he was 3-3. His ERA had a really good ERA, 3.38 ERA. In 6 starts, he struck out 39 batters, and he only walked 7 in 32 innings. I mean, really, really good stat line. And like I said, before he got hurt, he was arguably the best starting pitcher on this pitching staff in terms of performance. I mean, the first 3 starts of the season, he had a strike rate of over 70%. Like, he was absolutely dynamite in the first 3 starts of the season. So it sucks also, and prayers also go out to Cooper Moore. Now, I will say, from what Jay has said and from all the reports, it seems like Cooper Moore will be back at LSU in 2027. So it seems like he will return. He's going to have surgery, it seems like. And, the recovery process, potentially 4 to 5 months of recovery. Hopefully have him back out there for the fall. But it seems like Cooper Moore is going to be back in 2027. So potentially your whole starting rotation is going to return between Casey and Evans, William Schmidt, and Cooper Moore. And going into SEC play, I said that was one of your biggest strengths of your team was that combination of Evans, Schmidt, and Moore when he was healthy because of what they did in non-conference and because those are three elite arms, three really good arms. So you have a chance of having all three, having your whole starting rotation return in 2027 down the line. But again, prayers absolutely go out to Cooper Moore. What does this mean for the rest of 2026? Well, you've seen three guys get Sunday starts in a place of Cooper Moore. You've seen Gavin Guidry out there for a start. Grant Fontenot has started 2 Sundays, and then Zach Cowan got a start Sunday, this past Sunday, 2 days ago against Texas A&M. I'll say this again. I'll say this. I love Gavin Guidry. I don't love him as a starter. So keep him in the bullpen. Like, please keep him in the bullpen. He's great in the bullpen. One of your best bullpen arms this year. That's where you need to keep him. I would say Zach Cowan, man. Like I've said it. I think he has a starting experience. I mean, he was the ace in 2024 when he was at Wofford and threw over 110 innings. And like he has a starting experience now. Was a start against Texas A&M great? No, but you gotta realize that Texas A&M offense is absolutely legit. Like that is one of the best offenses in the country. That is an offense that I think I could definitely see taking A&M to Omaha this year. That's how good I think and how highly I think of that Texas A&M offense. I think it is a legit offense for Texas A&M. So was it a great start for Zach Cowan? No, but the level of competition he was facing, I think that's one of the best offenses, maybe the best offense you'll face all season outside of Georgia, who you're going to face in a couple weeks in Athens. So what I would do, I would keep Zach Cowan in that Sunday starter role. That's what I would do for the rest of the season, but we'll see. We'll see what happens in both of these situations. Like I'm interested in seeing who plays right field tonight, and then we'll see what happens this weekend. Tigers going to go to Starkville, take on Mississippi State this weekend. Tonight, the Tigers play UNL, the University of New Orleans Privateers, in a little bit over an hour from now. UNO on the season, 17-25 overall record, 7-14 in Southland Conference play. Again, some of these numbers come from Hunt Palmer did a really good some crunching the numbers for UNO and for this game coming into tonight. So 7-14 in Southland Conference play, 17-25 record overall. LSU was really, really bad offensively against a really, really against the Texas A&M pitching staff that was absolutely gettable. The Tigers really struggled. I mean, we talked about it all show yesterday. You went 1 for 17 in with runners in scoring position. Like it's been an issue all season. That stat that came out Sunday during the broadcast about LSU being 139th in team batting average with runners in scoring position this season. 139th in America in team batting average with runners in scoring position. Like that's really bad, and that's what happened this weekend, and you really struggle with that. You're facing a pitching staff that opponents have hit an average of 300 off of UNO this season. UNO this past weekend gave up 24 runs in 3 games to Houston Christian. They gave up 10 runs to Troy last Tuesday in a midweek game. So, I mean, you should be able to have a really, really good night offensively. But I thought you would be able to have a good night, good game, good series offensively against Texas A&M, and you absolutely weren't. This offense has been so inconsistent this season that I don't really know anymore. I don't really know anymore right now. The best hitter in this UNO lineup is going to be Dylan Biddick. Dylan Biddick, he leads UNO in batting average, on base percentage, OPS, doubles, and walks. Dylan Biddick also has 7 home runs on the season for UNO, and only one other UNO hitter besides Dylan Biddick is batting over 300 on the season. So that's a little bit of a preview on UNO. It's going to be interesting tonight. Hopefully, the Tigers can build some momentum. I'm not giving up on this team. I'm not giving up on this season. Does it look bleak? Absolutely. Like Starkville and Athens, 2 of your next 3 weekends is extremely, extremely difficult, obviously. But we'll see. Like we'll see. And hopefully the Tigers can get it done tonight. Let's see here. Let's see here. I think Eddie might get a try in outfield too. Potentially, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think Jay is going to transition to playing freshman in spots wherever the need desires, especially after his recent comments. Second base may be interesting. Yeah, I mean, I could see definitely. I hate saying it because it sounds like I'm giving up on the season, and that's not what I'm trying to do. But I do think this is a good opportunity. Give your young guys some reps, man. Like, give your young guys some reps. Give William Patrick an opportunity. That's what I would do. Need a good night of baseball and a run roll to get the guys some confidence going. Absolutely, Robbie. Uh, Jay is going to use boost and revenue share to entice more guys to choose college and forego the draft who won't live and die by the portal. Maybe 2 or 3 guys a year to bring in for specific things. Yeah, I think what Jay said the other day is basically he recruited some power guys out of the portal, got some power guys out of the portal who had really good numbers, in really good power numbers in at the mid major level, but that hasn't translated to the SEC. So I think Jay is looking to get those power numbers from guys who they sign as freshmen, guys who start their college career as LSU Tigers and then grow from there with the power numbers. Um, Randy, what's up, my friend? What is up, my friend? Jack Rucker might play tonight. Again, that's going to be, I'm interested in seeing what this lineup is going to look like tonight. Needs to give them reps just to encourage them to stay. Who takes Jake's place? Randy, I'm thinking William Patrick. I think it's time to give potentially some of these younger guys. I could also see Daniel Harden out there. I think you have 3 options. I think it's Harden, Patrick, or you could put Mason Braun out in the outfield and move Eddie Yaman in at first base. But I would like to see one of these younger guys get a potential opportunity. Let's see. We lost Mikey Ryan last year, for example, and he is having a good year in the ACC, I think. Louisiana guy, too. Yeah. All right. So that's my baseball report for tonight. We're going to get into a little bit of football here pretty soon. Before we get into football and talk about spring football, want to remind you that Babin on the Bayou is also very proudly sponsored by NOLA Plumbing and Construction. Devin Nola and his team at NOLA Plumbing and Construction consistently deliver high quality work, and they are known for being trustworthy, dependable, and reliable. So if you're in the Baton Rouge area or the surrounding Baton Rouge area and you have any plumbing needs, call Devin Nola and his team over at NOLA Plumbing and Construction today. Their number is 225-512-2900, 225-512-2900. That is NOLA Plumbing and Construction. All right, gonna get into a few thoughts on kind of the spring and talk to you about some guys that again, when we talk about spring football, we've done this a couple times. I will say again, I am not a credentialed member of the media. So I am not at any of these spring practices. So I get these reports from podcasts I watch, from articles I read. I like to read a lot. I'll give you some of the sources. I don't want to take any other credit for anybody's work. Like, that's not what I'm about or anything like that. I just kind of want to react to what we've been hearing from around the media that's been able to be there. So I'll give you some of the sources I like. AYS Sports. Blake Ruffino does a great job. Tingle and Co. Tiger Bait. Uh, LouisianaSports.net has some articles. Shay Dixon with On Three of the Bengal Tiger does a great job with a lot of this stuff. So just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about a few notes from spring practice. Hold on though, real quick. All right. So we talked not this past Saturday, but about 2 Saturdays ago last week, how the offense was really struggling. And the offense has been struggling throughout camp. The defense has been winning. I told you last week that at this point, the defense should be winning. They absolutely should be, considering all of the defensive talent you return, considering you're returning most of the defensive staff on the defensive side of the football. And you bring over on the offensive side of the football, you have so many new transfers that you bring in. You have a brand new quarterback room, basically a brand new wide receiver room. You brought in some guys on the O-line, some guys at tight end, some guys at running back. You have a brand new offensive staff that, yes, while they coach with each other at Ole Miss, they've never really coached these players before. So the defense should have been winning, and they should be winning. And that's why, not this past Saturday, but the last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, it was, Landon Clark and Hassan Longstreet, the two quarterbacks behind Sam Levitt, who Sam Levitt is obviously limited and pretty much out for the rest of spring practice, with that, recovering from having those pins taken out of his foot a few weeks ago. Expect him to be back at some point in the summer, and Sam Levitt's going to be a full go for fall camp and 100% for fall camp. And the guy, the QB1 going into week 1 against Clemson. But we talked about how Hassan Longstreet and Landon Clark threw a combined 5 interceptions 2 Saturdays ago in a scrimmage in Tiger Stadium in which the offense really, really struggled. Well, the positive news is that the offense, it seems like, really, really did a nice job of bouncing back this past week from all the reports that I've been reading and all the stuff that I've been hearing, especially on Saturday. So the Saturday after, Longstreet and Clark combined to throw 5 interceptions to the LSU defense. This past Saturday, LSU's offense scored a combined 10 touchdowns between full field drills, between red zone, between 2-minute drills, between all of that. LSU offense scored a combined 10 touchdowns. The quarterbacks, Longstreet and Clark, didn't throw a single interception on Saturday. Been a lot better week this past week for the LSU offense. Again, a lot of these numbers I got from Shay Dixon at On 3 and the Bengal Tiger. Hassan Longstreet on Saturday, it was charted. Now, you got to remember, Preston Guy did a nice job of mentioning this. I was listening to something Preston Guy was talking about the other day, how in this scrimmage the other day, like 113 plays were ran between the first team, second team, and third team. That's a lot more plays than are typically run, in a college, football game for an offense or whatever, right? You get that. But Hassan Longstreet, this was his stat line that was recorded by Shay Dixon and some other guys on Saturday. Longstreet went 22 for 29, 367 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. He also had 1 rushing touchdown. So 5 total touchdowns for Hassan Longstreet. Really, really good bounce back for the LSU offense. Again, Lane Kiffin talked about how Longstreet and Clark, quarterbacks, especially Longstreet, have had a bounce back week. They've been really good this week. They've been progressing and developing, and they put in a really good week of practice. From all reports, it seems like Hassan Longstreet has gotten a jump on Landon Clark for that second quarterback, for that backup quarterback behind Sam Levitt. It seems like Longstreet has kind of taken the reins there, and Clark is a little bit behind Hassan Longstreet. Longstreet is obviously five-star 5-star quarterback when he came out of high school, very highly touted. He was a top 3 quarterback in the country when he came out of high school. Spent his, spent his freshman year at USC, didn't play a lot, but you obviously like the talent is there and the arm is there and the talent is there for Hassan Longstreet. And like I mentioned before, like Longstreet and Clark, both of these guys have over the past couple of weeks, you got to get adjusted to a brand new offense, a brand new scheme, brand new receivers that you're throwing to, a brand new roster, and also the tempo, man. Like the tempo you got to deal with that comes with the Lane Kiffin offense. So, yes, the defense has been winning throughout the spring, but it is a really, really good positive sign that the offense, it sounds like from all reports, has had a bounce back week and had a really good Saturday in Tiger Stadium in the scrimmage from this past Saturday. And I mentioned it before, the defense should be winning considering all that you have returning on that side of the ball, considering all the newness that you have on the offensive side of the ball, right? Like we get that. But the thing also is like I'm not worried about this offense at all long term. I'm just not. It's a Lane Kiffin offense. It's Lane Kiffin. It's Charlie Weiss Jr. It's just a Lane Kiffin offense, man. They're going to be able to produce when the time is right. And during the fall, they're going to be able to produce. So I'm not worried about it. And it's good to hear from Lane and from all of these reports that we've been reading and seeing and watching that the offense had a nice weekend, and it has had a nice week over the past week of practice. Man, in every report and everything I watch, one guy that comes up in one of the first names that always comes up when everybody talks about spring practice who's been there is the name running back Dylan Jones. Like Dylan Jones' name just pops off the sheet every time I read something or every time I read a practice report or whatever. We talked about this running back room coming into the spring with Harlan Berry and Caden Durham as that 1-2 punch. Man, Dylan Jones is giving those guys a lot of competition. He's giving those guys a lot of competition. I mean, his freshman year at Wisconsin, he only played in 7 to 8 games at Wisconsin, and believe he had an injury that cut short his season at Wisconsin, and he finished with the most rushing yards for anybody on Wisconsin's team, and even though he didn't play a full season. Now that's a bad Wisconsin offense. I'm not saying it's a good Wisconsin offense, but he's obviously got plenty of talent. They brought him here for a reason, and he's been one of the standout guys of spring so far to a lot of different people from what I've been reading. And he's kind of got definitely a different build than Harlan Berry and Caden Durham. Like he's taller than both Berry and Durham, and Dylan Jones weighs 211 pounds. That's 10 more pounds than Caden Durham, and that's 24 more pounds than Harlan Berry. So he's kind of a power back, but he's also, from all reports that I've been hearing, he's been doing really well in pass protection as well, and been doing a lot of stuff and getting a lot of reps with the ones. So Dylan Jones has been one of the most talked about guys in spring practice. And my buddy AP from Timeouts and Tangents, I did a show with him right before spring practice started. And what we were talking about later today, AP, it was the day before spring practice started. And I was like, hey, who are you paying attention to? He said, don't count out Dylan Jones. Don't count out the potential of Dylan Jones. And he was completely right. He told me so about Dylan Jones. And that is a guy that a lot of people have been talking about. This wide receiver room is absolutely loaded. It's absolutely loaded. And that's why I'm saying, man, if anybody's worried about this offense long term, I just don't see it. I don't see what the concern is here. Yes, it's spring. It's early. It's early. And, they're still going to have the summer. They're still going to have fall camp. They're still going to have a lot more time to work together. But this receiver room is loaded. And the guy that everybody has been talking about here has been Winnie Watkins. And it's not really a shocker because Winnie Watkins was with Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss Jr. at Ole Miss last year. So he's really the only receiver that knows this system, that knows this scheme, and that knows what Charlie Weiss Jr. and Lane Kiffin want. So it's not shocking, but Winnie Watkins has been all over the field. He's been the best receiver from all reports in spring practice so far with what he's been able to do. I mean, consistently in the past two Saturday scrimmages, he's like in every 11 on 11, scrimmage that they do, racking up double-digit catches or close to double-digit catches. I heard also, so Winnie Watkins is the guy that has been really, really good in spring practice. Jackson Harris had multiple touchdowns. The transfer receiver from Hawaii, Harris, had multiple touchdowns Saturday in a spring scrimmage. I've obviously told you how I really, really like Jace Brown, the Kansas State transfer, had nearly 2,000 total yards in 3 seasons at Kansas State. I really like Jace Brown and his potential. So I think right now, from all reports, it's like Winnie Watkins, Jackson Harris, Jace Brown. You've also heard some good things about Roman Mothershed, Philip Wright. Heard some things about Malik Elzy, obviously Trey Wilson, Eugene Wilson. Trey Wilson is in there as well. This receiver room is loaded, and that's something that Lane's talked about as well. It wasn't like Lane has said this in press conferences the previous Tuesdays that he's done it. He's done a press conference every Tuesday for the past 4 weeks. Like he said, like with this receiver room, we weren't going for like the top guy or like the top 1 to 2 guys. We wanted depth. We wanted a receiver room that was 5, 6, 7, deep with guys that can play with a lot of depth. We weren't just going for 1 to 2 home run hitters and then not have depth behind them. They were going for a versatile receiver room, a very deep receiver room, and that is what they have. That is absolutely what they have. And with the tempo and the pace that you see from Lane Kiffin in spring practice, that means a lot of these guys are getting a lot of reps. So I'm really, really pumped about this receiver room. And then something also that Lane has mentioned, a lot of these are on the offense, guys, because I just wanted to kind of talk about the offense today. Because they've had a really good bounce back week. Lane has said this in 2 straight Tuesdays. Like he meets with the media every Tuesday. He said this last Tuesday in his time with the media, and he said this today. He's happy with the progression and the development of the offensive line. Like he's really happy with how they're developing and how they're getting better and, how they've really progressed throughout the spring. And that was one of my main concerns going into the spring is you have all these new pieces. And then in 2025, I mean, this offensive line was absolutely, absolutely horrendous for LSU in 2025. On a bad team, the offensive line was your weakest position group on what was already a bad team. And the fact that you're hearing some good reports from, I know Blake Ruffino was talking about this the other day. I know other people have talked about this. Some good push up front from this offensive line. And Lane Kiffin has said in back-to-back weeks how he's really liked how this offensive line is progressing and getting better. It's been mainly Jordan Seaton at left tackle, Braylon Moore at center. You've seen Aluba in there at guard a lot. You've seen Weston Davis in there at right tackle a lot. A guy that stepped up the past 2 weeks, like the first 2 weeks of spring practice. That other guard spot was filled by Ole Miss transfer Devin Harper, and a guy who a lot of people have been talking about the last 2 weeks is the emergence of Bo Bordelon. Bo Bordelon has really emerged over the last 2 weeks and taken a lot of reps with the ones at guard with what he's been able to do. So that's probably one of the things I'm most happy to hear from Lane and from other people is like the offensive line is progressing and that they don't like it doesn't look like a weak spot right now. It doesn't look like a weak spot. They have progressed and they're developing and they're getting better. And that's a really positive sign. And then I've said it before, I'll say it again, and a lot of people have been saying it. These freshmen are going to play on the defensive line. Like Deuce Gerald's and Richard Anderson are absolutely going to play and play a lot. You're going to have a lot of rotation in the defensive tackle room, a lot of rotation in the edge rushers room, but like everybody has been raving and raving about these freshmen, about Deuce Gerald's, about Richard Anderson. Lane had very high praise about Deuce Gerald's in his time with the media earlier today. Like, I'm really excited about you bring in December one of the best defensive line high school recruiting classes that we've ever seen. You've already heard a lot of good things coming out of spring practice about Deuce Gerald's, about Richard Anderson. And guess what? Lamar Brown hasn't even reached camp, hasn't even been with the team yet. Lamar Brown doesn't get there till summer. Like, imagine when you add Lamar Brown to this room as well. Defensively, that's gonna be. I'm just really excited about the defense line and all of the guys that you're bringing in, the guys that you brought in, the freshmen that you brought in, and it sounds like they're going to play and play right away. And yeah, I'm just defensively. I mean, again, Blake Baker, Corey Raymond, like all of these guys that you have, and I'm high on the secondary, the cornerback room, the safety room. Obviously, Whit Weeks has been a little limited in practice, in spring practice, kind of load management a little bit as far as Whit hasn't been able to do much. Remember, he had that broken foot at the end of the 2025 season that cut his 2025 season short. But like obviously, once Whit is fully 100% healthy, like Whit Weeks, TJ Daugherty, Devon Keys at the linebacker position. That's going to be a really stout room. But defensively, I mean, the defensive line and the freshmen that have stepped up in spring practice, that is a really, really good sign. We're going to get into this a little bit more tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit more tomorrow, I think, about some news with basketball in the transfer portal. We'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. And then recently, LSU football has gained 2 commitments in the past week for 2 commitments from one was from 4-star Braylon Calais, 4-star athlete Braylon Calais out of Cecilia in Louisiana, and then the other one was a 4-star commitment from wide receiver Amari Stevens out of Miami, Florida. Braylon Calais listed as a 4-star athlete out of Cecilia. LSU sees him more as a wide receiver potentially. So that's pretty much 2 wide receiver commits. But Braylon Calais is listed as an athlete. So now it makes for this next class you have coming up in 2026. Now you have 4 commitments, and it's early. Obviously, this is going to play out throughout the year, but now you have 4 commitments. I'll kind of get into that tomorrow or Thursday, kind of planning to talk about those guys. But you have had 2 recent signings over the past week, and 4-star athlete out of Louisiana, out of Cecilia, and Braylon Calais, and then 4-star wide receiver Amari Stevens out of Miami, Florida. We'll talk about that at some point later this week. But I thank you so much, folks, for tuning in to the show today. Let me get to the comments. I like Braun at first. Yeah, I like Braun at first too. I like Braun at first too. What I would do, let me see. We have time. Has the lineup come out today? Maybe it has. Maybe it has. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. I'm just trying to see. Maybe it has. I don't think it has. Oh, the lineup has come out. Okay. All right. This is the lineup. Stanny in left, Curiel in center, Aaron Beatty catching, Milam at shortstop, Cerna at DH, York at first base, John Pearson at third base, William Patrick on right field, Jack Ruckert at second base. So both Ruckert and Patrick are playing tonight, and you got Zach York at first base. I don't think Mason Braun's in the lineup tonight. Mason Braun is not in the lineup tonight. So Braun, I don't think he had a great weekend against Texas A&M. I was looking at some numbers earlier today and some stats over his past 3-4 games. He's been kind of going through a rough stretch just over his past 3 to 4 games. I really like Mason Braun, though. Like, I'm really, really high on him. He's a freshman, and he's already done some really nice things this season, and I think he's going to be really, really good for LSU in years to come. But yeah, you got Ruckert in at second tonight. You got William Patrick in at right. So 2 freshmen that haven't played a lot are in there tonight. And then you got Zach York back at first base. I like seeing Eddie Yum in the lineup too. Love that guy. Mason Braun and Omar are future stars for sure. Yeah, Robbie. All right. That'll be interesting tonight. Excited to see how those freshmen play. Again, thoughts and prayers go out to Cooper Moore and Jake Brown. That really, really it stinks, man. Just praying for them. And just praying for them and their families right now. I know that's not how they wanted their season to end, but we're gonna go ahead and get out of here, folks. I thank you so much for tuning in to this Tuesday afternoon edition of the Babin on the Bayou show. Have a great one. Hopefully the Tigers get a win tonight over UNO. God bless. Go Tigers. Babin on the Bayou. Out.